Give me the opportunity to come on your show to express how I feel and to...
You need to give a definition of it and how it is an illness that can be treated?
Yes, it's a serious mood disorder which affects the ability to be able to function in everyday activities. And this mood disorder lasts at least 2 weeks or more. And it goes on to months and years. You have different phases of depression.
And so when you look at it, you know, how do you really distinguish between depression versus if, you know, Lieutenant Jones, I'm having a bad hair day, or, you know, I got caught in the rain, or my pantyhose ran or something?
Well, how you can distinguish, well, everyone goes through having some day during the week they feel blue. But they come out of it, though. But depression, you never comes out of it. It's continuing to go on for 2, 3 weeks, years.
Okay.
If not treated, you will continue to have depression.
All right. In terms of how you're able to recognize that, I think you're a person who is comfortable enough in yourself to maybe tell your eye story, understand that that's part of who you are as it relates to how you're dealing with it now in terms of your family life and professional life.
Right. Well, depression is I can relate it like this. I've been suffering from depression since I was a kid. But when I was a kid, I didn't know what was going on. I felt sad all the time. I felt tired all the time. You know, I couldn't concentrate in school. I ate a lot. And then sometimes you go through depression and you don't eat. You're real irritable. Things I used to enjoy doing, I don't enjoy doing them anymore. And in terms of setting the family, of course I'm married. It's hard for an individual to know what you're going through if they haven't been through it.
Right, they may think it's something that they have done, or, you know, what's wrong with this marital relationship. So.
And it's hard to talk about it because most of the time you don't want to talk. You shy away from people. Thing you want to do is just sleep, cry. But how I deal with it, you know, is through the Lord. God has given me the strength to get this far. And now I'm able to really express myself. It's not easy.
Right. And nothing worthwhile in life doesn't seem to be. And, again, making sure that the disclaimer is issued to our viewing audience because, you know, at a public institution like FAMU, we have to acknowledge the separation of church and state and the separation of God and government. But at the same time, I do believe that persons are placed on earth in our lives to help us deal with challenges we have. And even in your coming to the set today, you know, just talking about the student life here at FAMU and how they have their challenges getting ready to go into the holidays. If you could just maybe go into some of the different stages or types, if you will, of depression that you're familiar with.
Well, since you're saying going through the holidays, it's one type of depression called SAD, S-A-D. It's called seasonal affective disorder. And normally that occurs during the fall and winter months when the clock is set back, the days are shorter, and you have that glooming feeling. And you have some people, they only get depressed during that type of,
time of year.
Thanksgiving, Christmas. And they feel lonely. And they don't want, you know, especially from the students that stay far away and not able to go home as often. It really affects them basically during the holidays.
So you know, seem like a strong man, as you mentioned, family man, married and everything, and a lieutenant at the Federal Correctional Institution, where I'm sure you must come in contact with some of your clientele who have suffered or even are suffering from depression. How can it effectively be treated as it relates to maybe medication or guidance and counseling?
Well, it can be treated not only, I encourage, if you know you have depression and the different signs I just mentioned to indicate that depression might be there, you know, I encourage, you know, I can look and tell when a person is suffering. And what I do, I just basically try to talk to people, try to encourage them to find someone. You don't necessarily have to go to a psychiatrist all the time.
Because you know when that comes up as it relates to our community, the African-American diaspora, Lieutenant Jones, at least from my upbringing, you know, you crazy.
It's a taboo.
Okay, you done bumped your head.
Yeah, you just fell and bump your head. And then if someone knows you're going to a psychiatrist and things like that, and that's why people are embarrassed. You know, will you be embarrassed if you are suffering from diabetes?
Okay.
You'll go get help from,
Thank you.
you know, from the doctor. If you have a toothache, you'll go to a dentist. Why not go to a psychiatrist when you're suffering from mind disease?
Okay.
Because psychiatrists can prescribe some medication to help you deal with that. And at one point, depression is the lack of serotonin in the brain. If you don't have enough serotonin in the brain, you fall into that deep sad with feeling. But the pills that the doctor administers to you bring the serotonin level up. So, and if you don't feel like going to a psychiatrist, go to someone you feel comfortable with. You know, and most times people don't feel comfortable talking to their family about depression, but they'll go to a best friend. But if you are feeling that way, please seek help, because there is help out there. And of course, I'm a lieutenant at FCI, and I know this show is going to be aired tomorrow. I'm not embarrassed to tell you how I feel, because my job on this earth is to try to help someone else.
But just think about that, Lieutenant Jones. You are not embarrassed, but again, dealing with the clientele at FCI, and again, persons who may be in our viewing audience who knows somebody that may be experiencing this, what is it that can help a person come out of his or her shell, to come out of denial, if you will, to be willing to acknowledge that, you know, just like everyone in life needs help from time to time, be it the dentist for the toothache, or again, if you got diabetes, you need to get that insulin level together, or something's wrong with your gastrointestinal tract, you need help. What is it, especially, not to gender type, but I guess at the same time, for a man to be able to come out and say this, or for anyone to be able to acknowledge this?
So when you get to a point when you suffer long enough, and you suffer inside long enough, it begins to create sickness. And you get tired of being sick. And that's when you need to start, I need to do something about this. Because we have over 20 million people that suffer, that have been diagnosed as suffering from depression. And think about the people that haven't been diagnosed.
Really?
You know, those are people that are in trouble.
Deep trouble, and maybe at the root of some other problems that and suicide thoughts come into play. Most every male, like you said, we're not going to get into the gender, but you have that loss of your sex drive. And then, you know, your other party want to know what's going on. What's up with that? Am I no longer desirable? Am I not as attractive as I was earlier in our relationship now?
Right, and see, like I said earlier, you're kind of embarrassed. But when it starts affecting your family life, and of course, having 3 children myself, you know, because I got to live for my children. Right. And it starts affecting trips that you go on, because most times, in the mind of a person that's depressed, you don't want to do anything. It's hard to get up out of bed.
Okay, so even to go to work as a lieutenant at FCI.
But we have to work and bring in the income.
Okay, so you have that family, and that's just the American way, the free enterprise system. You got to have that medium of exchange. So
you got to have that bread
to get beyond that.
You got to take care, because it's your obligation to take care of the family. Right. You got to realize that it's not the family's fault. It's not really your fault. It's something that, you know, some people are born with. It depends on your background. A lot of people don't realize this. So I want to put one emphasis on teenagers. Yes, please. And the people in the elementary school. Now, I would like the parents to know some of the signs they can look for. Like I stated earlier, when I was growing up, it was hard for me to concentrate.
And that's growing up in?
North Carolina, Princeton, North Carolina. And it was hard for me to concentrate on my books. I used to get angry all the time. I was tired and sleepy, and I just felt withdrawn. And parents know their kids. When you start seeing signs, you know, of this, like this, you know, when a child is basically getting A's in school, start dropping down, the grades start dropping down to D's and F's, and you know your child, and you know how intelligent your child is, you know, you need to step in and try to find out what's going on. Or some children are not comfortable talking to their parents, but I suggest that the parents find someone that they know that their children is comfortable talking to, and have them to talk to them.
But is that really as easy to facilitate as you suggest? For example, hypothetically speaking, I have a child, and, you know, we have an okay relationship, but when it comes down to me saying, well, you know, Susie, I have someone that I'd like you to speak with because I think that maybe someone can help you as it relates to your grades, falling in school, or you're not being involved in your extracurricular activities, etc. Do you think children, because, you know, in this 21st century, we acknowledge it whether we want to or not in terms of change, and we know change just happens. And sometimes we'd like to say, well, the more things change, the more they stay the same. But children and parents, in terms of the communication or lack thereof that goes on in the home, may not necessarily be in that position to get that advice, or if it is given by the parent, automatically, well, you know, why is he or she suggesting that I talk with this person? I mean, how do we delve into that to really get the children to be willing to listen to a parent's suggestion, to talk with someone else perhaps who can help them?
But if you go to basically what I was talking about, if the parent gets somebody like an uncle or aunt that the child, you know, it relates to, and is very comfortable talking to, you know, not per se go out and say, I want to talk to you about the person. Basically get the person, you know, like I had an uncle I used to talk to, and I felt very comfortable talking to him, my Uncle Jay. And we didn't talk about depression. He didn't mention it. But he started, every time he would get around me, he always give me encouraging words. So it's obviously that he kind of knew something was wrong. And so that's what I mean by a parent, you know, get someone else that the children is comfortable talking to, and love being around.
Anyway.
Right. And just don't bring up the subject depression. Just get into a conversation, and eventually it will come out.
And so then once, in fact, that has been revealed, and again, earlier you were alluding to or talking about your relationship or interaction with the clientele, those persons who are incarcerated at FBI, what's the age range there in terms of perhaps individuals you deal with, Lieutenant Jones, that you have been able to see some of the signs and hopefully been able to get them some assistance while they're in that particular state of their lives?
We deal with anywhere from 21-year-olds all the way up. We even have people in their 70s that's incarcerated. They go, and I'm glad I mentioned that. A lot of people don't realize that older people go through depression too.
Why do they have to be depressed about it?
Well,
you know, this is
right. I understand. And the way I look at it, you know, if, say for instance, you married, you had a family, your children is grown, they got children, they moved away up north or whatever, and you used to cooking all this food and things like this, and you had a spouse, and your spouse, you know, died, so you're there at the house by yourself, and you don't, and while you're at the house by yourself, you just there by yourself. You don't have.
I'm alone.
Yeah, that's correct. I'm alone. You know, I wonder, do my family really care about me as much as they used to? I wonder why Aunt Mavis had a call.
And you go through all these thought processes, and again, in terms of us continue to talk about that, Lieutenant Jones, we're going to take a break just for pausing for the cause, if you will, here on the set of its time. But again, talking about a subject that is near and dear to us as members of the human race, and as relates to the reality of where we are in this 21st century. If you will, please stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you so much.